What up, everybody? To do Born Shining here. I'm Born Shining. You're Born Shining. We're all Born Shining, and don't let nobody tell you otherwise. And if they do try, you just that's the ops. So yeah, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the Universal Life Force, great creator, spirit which moves through all things. I want to give a shout out to Ra, ascended masters, archangels, my ancestors, spirit guides, and spirit animals, crossover loved ones, my friends known and unknown, seen and unseen, and all my invisible helpers. And in this video, what about it? In this video, what we're going to talk about is the different, this concept of quantum healing and the idea that, where you focus your attention, you're feeding that. And especially as it pertains to healing or just anything really, but specifically with the body and how does that work? What is it? And it's this idea that that what you pay attention to, what you focus on, you feed energetically. Because in quantum mechanics, consciousness is what pulls something out of the realm of possibility and into reality. So if you want health, you focus on health. If you want illness, focus on illness. And it's no different than a teacher who's leading a class. And as somebody who's worked with lots of groups, I can totally, this is how it is. You have a couple of children in the class that are being unruly, or they're acting out, and they're just, creating obstacles for the other students in the room. And rather than stopping class and yelling at these children or trying to make an example out of them and send them to detention or whatever, you focus on the other children, which are more numerous. You focus on the children who are doing what you want. And so by celebrating the children who are doing what you're asking of them, you are inviting those children who aren't doing that to be a part of that, versus stopping everything that you're doing and neglecting the 98% of the class who's doing the right thing and giving all of your attention to the students in the class that are acting up. And like I said, as a coach, I could totally tell you that this is a good analogy because it's real. And when you start, or even as a manager, one of the guys that I work with, he's taken a lot of management courses. I mean, this job that he's working now is above him, or he's highly overqualified. He's way, in that sense, way too good for this job. But he's taken a lot of managerial courses. He was in the military, and so he's got a lot of leadership skills. And he even attested to this, that this is the way it is. And I mean, he's just one of many who are going to say the same thing. So, but when it comes to health, you can focus on the illness, right? Which is the unwanted. It's like the kids acting out. Or you can focus on the health. You can focus on doing the right things, eating, exercising, but that's just a part of it. Eating, diet, and exercise, while they are important, don't get me wrong, it's not the whole. That's not the whole pie. I mean, what's more, because if you're eating and you're exercising, but your thoughts aren't right, meaning your thoughts are contradicting all the work that you're doing, meaning that, like, if you don't believe that you have the ability to lose that weight or get strong or whatever your health goals and fitness goals are, then you're fighting an uphill battle. Health is having an alignment of body, mind, emotions, spirit. And so in this quantum health field, being a quantum coach, what we focus on is health. And we focus on seeing how do we get this person whole? Not just, oh, what symptoms are you experiencing and how do we get rid of those symptoms, which is conventional allopathic medicine. How do we eliminate your symptoms? Because the symptoms are just a clue to a deeper underlying issue. The symptom of a runny nose, the runny nose isn't the problem. There's other things below the runny nose that need to be addressed. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have a runny nose. And even if you stop the runny nose, there's still going to be those underlying issues, which may manifest themselves as other symptoms. And that's why when you go down the allopathic route, that's how you can get caught into the system. It's like people say, when you get arrested, you get into the system, and then it's much easier to get arrested a second time, and a third time you go to jail, and you just kind of get in this revolving door of the justice system. I mean, it's no different with health. Once you start trying to address the symptoms, and especially if all you're using is medication, then those medications are going to start creating side effects, and you're just chasing symptoms around. You're not addressing any root causes. And so what the quantum health coach does, what we do, is we address the root cause. And the root cause is that there's something, for all illness, there's something preventing you from being whole. Right? Very different approach than chasing symptoms around. Because the symptoms, like I said, are just a reflection of a deeper underlying issue. And you can eliminate symptoms, but you're not going to address the root issue. Whereas in quantum health coaching, the whole idea is to address the root cause to create wholeness. And so one of the things that we've learned is that there's different layers to this. Dr. Amit Goswami, he talks about the 5 layers of consciousness. And basically the idea is that you have your physical body, your bones, to which your vital body is attached. So your skin, your muscles, your organs, your tendons, all of these other things. Outside of your physical body is the mental body, which is created by your thoughts primarily. It's your mind. And above that, you have the supramental. All right. And then beyond that is the bliss, pure bliss. And the idea is that rather than treating symptoms of a physical illness and chasing symptoms around, the idea is that which is an upward causation. So we start at the molecular level and you move up. And that's the idea of Newtonian physics and this Newtonian model of healthcare, is that if you address the symptoms, then, which doesn't even make sense, but you address the symptoms and then that's how you resolve these issues. And I mean, they're not trying to create health. That's very clear. But in quantum coaching, what we talk about and how we operate is from a downward causation. And so from the bliss to the supramental to the mental to the physical to the vital, there's information being received by your body that is coming from outside of your body that organizes all of these atoms, molecules, cells. The function of your body is being driven by by energy, which is information. And so in quantum health coaching, the idea is to focus on the outcomes that we want and remain focused on those outcomes. And those, by focusing on those outcomes, certain solutions will present themselves that will move you closer to this path of, to the goal of health, which is wholeness. And it's, and which is one of the reasons why I am pursuing this path, is because this this education that I'm working on is, it's not unique in that it sees people as whole, but it lays out a very clear, there's a lot of supporting evidence, and it's a very clear and logical understanding of how our physical bodies are impacted by frequencies, um, and energy. And so in quantum health coaching, that's what we do. We do health assessments. Rather than seeing what's wrong with people, we look at where are the opportunities to create wholeness. And so by focusing on the things that we want to bring in, rather than the things that we want to remove, we're focusing on the things that we want to bring in, and we create health from the outside to the inside. And I will say that in that way, I believe that this is unique because it incorporates, in my opinion, the whole spectrum of health. You know, like you need spirituality, the spiritual component. I mean, I consider it the spiritual component, but I mean, if you're if you're in the scientific mind, then it's information, you know, information that's coming from outside of your body, that's organizing all your cells and sending signals and information to these other parts of your body that are the organizing principle to all of this matter, you know. And when you look at this matter, it is purely energy. I mean, if you look under an electron microscope at all of these things, you take the smallest pieces of these things, there's nothing there but energy vortexes. And it gets deeper than that. And I want to make sure that I'm quoting accurately, but essentially, your body, we're mostly energy. And by mostly, I mean entirely energy. It's just that we can see and interact with this energy, and it's organized. And I think that's what this world is this world is energy. And that's why this is such a gift, to be able to be here and be pure energy. And at the same time, we have the ability to bite into an apple, you know, to taste honey, you know, to experience pain. Because when you're purely physical and when you're in the non-physical, you're connected to all that is, and it's pure bliss, which is great. But if you're the universe and you're trying to collect more information so that you can expand and grow and create new creations, then it makes sense that there would be beings here that are energy, and at the same time have the ability to experience energy on a level that is completely unique to anything else in creation. And I think that that's a huge component to healing. And I think that's partly why people get sick, is there's a spiritual component to their being that is not being acknowledged, not being recognized. From what I can see, the people who go down these healing journeys, who undertake and have the courage to pursue health, a lot of times these people, they start with a with some kind of a tragedy or an illness or a disease, and at the end, when they're whole and healed, they see this as the greatest gift. They see their disease as a great gift that allowed them to, or pushed them rather, it was a catalyst for them coming into connection, for them connecting with who they are really. Who are you really? Because we're far more than just our physical bodies. Far more. And it's logical. It's logical. Your heart is an electromagnetic transmitter, receiver, all right? And every heartbeat can be measured several meters outside the body, and possibly more, because energy can only be changed. It can't be destroyed. And so if your heart is giving off an electromagnetic pulse, a weak electromagnetic pulse, but strong enough to where it can be measured several feet outside the body, that several meters outside the body is due to the limits of the instruments, the measuring instruments. So the that's not where it stops, but that's where that's as far as our instrumentation can go, the measuring tools. So it's likely far beyond that. And when you consider that the earth has an electromagnetic field that we are all connected to and operating in, then things like non-local communication, like how are you able to, or how are people able to think of somebody on the other side of the world and that person calls them, or it doesn't have to be on the other side of the world. Just, I mean, as far as the United States is concerned, in another state, how is it possible that somebody can be in California and think of somebody that's in, Chicago, and later on that day, that person is reaching out to the person in California saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you." How is that possible? Well, through electromagnetic field and electromagnetic signals. It's very logical. This isn't woo woo, you know, and I think, kind of going back to some of the other things that I've talked about in previous videos, you know, we're getting to a point now where woo woo is starting to be kind of like a cop out term, I think. People say, "Oh, well, that's a little too far out for me." And yeah, there's some pretty far out stuff that is really challenging to prove. But then there's things like this that are very logical and easily explained. It's just a question of, do you want to believe it or not? Would you rather believe that this is how the world works and this is what reality really is? Or would you rather go back to thinking that, you know, uh, you're a victim? Because ultimately what this information does is it makes you responsible. It makes you responsible for for your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and it makes you responsible, and it holds you accountable for how you show up in the world, but also what you're creating in your life. Because if you're the kind of person that is putting out a bunch of bad thoughts, you're wishing harm on people, you're punching babies. I mean, that's just, you're just being not a good person. When you receive these bad things, you're creating it. You're creating it all. You're creating it all. So you are what you see in the world. There's a beautiful, I think it's called the Huna Principles from Hawaii. Ike kala makia manawa aloha mana pono. The world is what you think it is. Only you can say what is or isn't possible. Energy flows where attention goes. The moment of power is now. To love is truly to be happy with. To love is to be happy with. The greatest power is within, and effectiveness is the measure of truth. So essentially, what those are saying is that it's a feedback loop. All of this is a feedback loop. What you see in the world is what you are, and it's what you're going to get more of. And coming back to the whole point of this video is quantum healing and focusing on the outcomes that you want, and how consciousness selects from infinite possibility into actuality. When you see a world that is suffering, then you suffer. When you see a world that is healing, then you're healing. When you see a world that's healed, then you're healed. So it's walking a very fine line here, because obviously, I mean, if you watch the news, they're going to tell you that the world is a certain way, and they're going to gain a lot of support in overcoming these obstacles and challenges in the world, and they're going to suck all of this energy out of you to try to stop these things that are systemic. You know, a lot of the problems that are in the world aren't going to be solved by these people who created them. I mean, does that make any sense? You know, it doesn't to me. So one of the ways that I've figured out to get around this is you have to tell a better story. For me, I think that we're here in this earthly realm to learn and grow, and to learn how to do things in a better way, and learn how to be wiser with our energy, where we're putting to focus, and learning why is it important to not be, I don't even like saying a bad person, but why is it important to make conscious decisions about helping people or helping yourself, versus trying to take advantage of other people and putting others down, or celebrating the failures of other people. And I think we're here to learn. We're here to learn, because this is truly, life is an amazing gift. It's remarkable to be able to, like I said, we're all energy, and everything is energy. So when you're taking a bite of that apple, what you taste is the crunch and the sweet juices. But reality, if you go deeper into that, it's all energy. So this idea that we're not just here to appease our physical senses. We're not just here to, get high and drunk and lie around and party all the time. And we're here to live intentionally. We're learning how to live intentionally. And I think that taking the lessons that we have learned from history, if we're going to take history at face value, which I don't, but let's just assume that everything that you learned in history class is the way that they taught it, what's the point? The point is that we're learning why it's important to act with integrity, and why it's important to treat people the way that we want to be treated, and why it's important to make healthy choices, and make not just informed but intentional choices, thinking about the outcome. I mean, the Native Americans, as far as I know, when they made decisions, they thought 10 generations ahead. They weren't thinking about tomorrow. They weren't thinking about, oh, how is this going to improve my bottom line for the year, or how is this going to improve my revenue for the year. No, they thought about 10 generations ahead. And I think, on a whole, that's why we're here. We're here to learn and grow and turn this place, reclaim it. We're reclaiming the earth from these dark forces who have tried for so long and succeeded in convincing people that this is hell. We're reclaiming earth, which is heaven, in my opinion. This is heaven. We're reclaiming heaven, and we're kicking out the ideas of lack, scarcity, fear, confusion, doubt. We're removing all of these things from intentionally. Because if you don't have the power of free choice, if you don't have free will, and you just are what you can never be anything other than what you are. So free will is really important, and it gives us the power to choose. Sure, you can choose to be sick if you want. You can choose to be healthy, but ultimately that's your choice. And I think that collectively, as a human species, this is what we are here to accomplish: is to realize, like when you see videos of oil spills and little ducks just bathed in oil and all of these crazy forest fires and all of these things, like, it's supposed to hurt your heart, because that's not we have the power to create and arrange things in this realm in such a way to where it's not that those things aren't going to happen. I mean, maybe the oil spills, but forest fires, like, some fires are good, but my larger point is that this is our home, and this is our temporary home. For you in this life, it's temporary, but for the species, this is our home, long-term home, and this is where we are. And we need to take care of each other, and we need to take care of the planet. And that's why I feel like we're here. And what history has to teach us is that most people don't agree with things like the Holocaust or things like war, and we need to stop relying on the people who are manipulating our emotions and our consciousness and our energy, and we need to take the power back in that sense and start conducting our personal lives in a way that leads to more global integrity. Well, I don't want to yeah, I'm going to keep it a little. I'm going to end this one here. All right. I hope you guys have a great day. Love you.